Omakase Show webinar series. My name is Owa or Owana Yara, and I'm hosting this series. And before we dive into today's episode, I just wanted to remind you that you can always support our show by sending your donations in Ethereum. Just go to our profile on Twitter, which is the Omakase Show, and then you can find this cash button and send your donations. Okay, we have an amazing artist who I knew for ages, who was meant to be a speaker at one event we were organizing in London at Art Hotel, and in general, like a super active person in the space. Hi, Ishika, thank you so much for joining me today. Can you straight ahead tell us a little bit more about yourself and what do you do in the space?
Hi, Ola. Thank you for having me here. And first of all, I want to give a big shout out to you and the team for making these incredible shows where you invite artists from different background, different genre, and you highlight their art. You take all your time to do research, to do homework for the artists to shine, and I find it beautiful. So, first of all, thank you, and thank you for having me here today. And the question itself, how I got into the creative space where I am in right now. Um, it's a very long story, but I would be happy to share some snippet of my journey. So, for now, as most of you already know, I have been very actively doing NFTs, like minting or sometimes collecting if I can. And by being involved with the overall digital art community. And that's my life for now, that's my home for now. And this journey actually began in 2020 when COVID started, lockdown, etc. in London. I got stuck at home and everything was falling apart. It felt like the whole world is suddenly going upside down. And I was finding no hope anywhere. And slowly I started making more art as an escape from that storm. So to me, art is that home or art is that shelter from everything else that's happening surrounding me and I want to escape. So from 2020, I started making more and more traditional art that time. And I started my online journey with Instagram and later on Twitter, or as they say, X. And slowly, by sharing my art with like minded people, I finally felt like this is it. This is the freedom I have been craving for all these years. And it all started from there. And then what happened after joining online? Instagram did give me that boost of confidence where I felt like finally I have a wonderful audience around me who are enjoying what I make, inspiring me. Sometimes they were giving me advice of what to do and what not to do. And I was like a sponge, I was taking all it in. And later on, when I was quite active on Twitter, 2021 time, and that time it was all about NFTs. NFT was literally a buzzword, and everyone was joining Twitter spaces. Everyone was sharing whatever they were making. And I started doing my own art talks on Twitter. And my journey started like that. Like all of a sudden, as if from nowhere, but as if I was always craving for this to happen. And thanks to Instagram, Web2 at first, Instagram and Twitter, and later on, obviously Web3 and my NFT family, my NFT community has brought me here where I'm standing right now with my abstract, with my dreams, and with my hopes. And that's the start, Lola. And great question.
Thank you so much. Wow. Okay. I also know that you're a self-taught artist, so the question is how you kind of picked up drawing, and in general, can you tell us more about the creative process?
Yes, of course. So art has always been with me since childhood. I grew up in a very cultural family where my mom and dad, they both are poets, and they have always been providing me with all the support, all the guidance I needed to be who I am. And it's a blessing to have a family where they understand where you're coming from. But do you know the interesting thing is outside this safety bubble, outside this tiny little family of mine, outside world was different and things were not the same where not everyone could understand who I want to be or what I was trying to do with my art. And especially when you are an abstract artist, abstract is not for everyone. And sometimes I feel like it takes some special eyes to see through the layers, and because it's not very easily understandable at times, right? So I was easily misunderstood growing up, and for many, I was the odd one out or the crazy weird one, and and at that time I was also writing poetry. I was a teen, I was writing poetry, I was scribbling and drawing just for myself. I never wanted to share them to anyone because I was scared, little bit worried, or at sometimes I was also bullied for my art. So that really had some impact on my personality. Um, so I was just making art for myself, and just to let out my worries and my stories. And what happened later on, studies and, coming abroad, job, family, I felt kind of lost somewhere. Somewhere I felt like the spark is missing. Am I getting lost? And I was a bit unhappy, thinking something was bothering me. And at that point, COVID started, lockdown and everything. And suddenly I was without job. Suddenly I was like without anything. And I finally found myself. I finally saw through my own pain that no, actually, I was missing more art in my life. And when life happens to you, you kind of touch the rock bottom. You feel like this is it. Now the only way is looking up. And I started climbing up with my art, with my colors, with my abstract. And this is my way of letting out. This is my way of telling my stories. And this is the only language. Abstract is the only language I can write my own stories in with all the freedom. And yeah, that is how I my art journey. Actually, it was all within me, but again, it came out mostly during the COVID time.
It's so beautiful. Wow, I love this story. I will share my screen once again to showcase your art because I know that you describe your works as intuitive, which is something I wanted to elaborate on. And another part of this question, you just mentioned that you were partially bullied for your art. And my assumption was that maybe because it was abstract, this is how I feel like people may react to abstract art. They may not really understand it. Yeah, and maybe you can also comment on this.
You are absolutely right. Like when you make a flower or when you make something figurative, and when it's on the canvas, the everything is there, clear, visible, and you don't have to comprehend or you don't have to decode the mystery. It's easy to process for many, probably. And with abstract, what happens? It's all your subconscious, it's all your untold stories, and you are using your paint as a pen to write your own poetry. And obviously that's not for everyone to decode, and that's why I was mainly bullied in high school time. We were too young, and um, when I was trying to show who I am. Um, not many friends, or even sometimes from family as well, like extended family. I'm talking about. Not everyone could really understand what I was trying to say, and I was told, why don't you try making a flower? Why don't you try drawing a bird? These are all just mess. You just made a whole mess of colors, and we don't understand it. And at some point, it became normal to me. I understood, no, it's a special journey that can feel alone, that can feel lonely, and you have to be really courageous to take on that journey, just with a lot of self confidence within you. So I kept making art anyway. And very much later on, especially all thanks to my Instagram friends, thanks to my Twitter or X friends who really stood there with me, sat there with me, saying, no, we love what you do and please keep being you. And that was very important for me, that advice or that suggestion, keep being you and don't filter it out, don't fake it out. That was the key for me to keep on moving, Ola. And thank you for asking that.
This is actually, so my boyfriend, he has little sister, and we went to her school, and there was an auction of art that, well, kids created. And basically, I was bidding for one artwork. I was actually the only like batter on this artwork. It was square abstraction. It was like there were deliberate brush strokes in black and just like a pink font, like a background. And I got the work. Um, and the girl who created it, her mother came on to me and said something like, "Thank you so much for buying it." And I was like, "Yeah." And I told her that I'm connected to art, that I work in art space, and she was like, "Whoa, for real?" I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "So you really enjoyed this like weird abstraction thing happening?" I was like, "Yeah, I really do." And this girl, she came on to me and she told me that she saw a girl who created an artwork with a kitten sitting in a basket or something like. And when she saw this, she was actually thinking about taking her work out of the auction, because she felt like her abstraction work is not good enough compared to this perfectly drawn kitten that the other girl created. And it felt so bizarre. And I know that in this particular auction, I was the only person related to art or working in art space. And the work that I loved was the work of this girl who thought it was never good enough to even be auctioned.
Exactly. Exactly. And someone, at least that one person standing there with our art saying, no, we love your art. That's a huge thing. Like what you did for that little girl, you have no idea. So you just inspired her to keep on being more of herself, and also you surprised her mom. No wonder, because um, even even sometimes I still remember my first sale when my first NFT was. because that time there were also negative comments from traditional um, friends, traditional artists, because they don't understand much. They were not familiar much with what we do here. And I still remember the first NFT sale I had. I was just crying. I cried and I cried and I was like, someone saw the meaning behind my colors. Someone sat with the art, and the collector actually later on, I found him on my Twitter. I thanked him, and literally he was telling me his reason, his why he collected my Genesis, my Genesis NFT from Foundation. It was so special. Ola, it's always special. The first ones are always special, and they do boost your confidence up to the sky, and it makes the all the difference. So yeah, I'm very happy for the little child, and yeah, beautiful thing you did.
It is indeed. Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for telling me this because I don't know how it feels to be like in artist shoes and how they feel about it. I wanted to ask you about being exhibited worldwide. You're extremely active in this space, like so active, and your art was on Times Square, was showcased in, I guess, in Australia, and then also in Seoul, Rome. So like bunch of different cities, a lot of different countries. Have you noticed how it changes, like based on where you showcase your art, in which context, how people and you yourself see your art?
Another beautiful question. And first of all, Ola, all these exhibitions and art shows I have been doing, I feel absolutely blessed, and I feel very humbled that uh, my curators felt my art and chose my art for their shows, right? And I am very thankful to my NFT family, to my NFT community, because with that support, I have been able to exhibit around more than 15 countries around the world. And it's unbelievable. Like coming from a traditional art background where having that opportunity to exhibit in few places would be like, wow, unbelievable. And then all these incredible art shows inviting you to be there, from Saatchi Gallery to those New York very fancy billboards. It was at some point, it still gives me goosebump. And most unforgettable experience, obviously, to be able to exhibit at the Saatchi Gallery London here, which is one of my most favorite galleries in Europe. And it was such an honor and incredible experience. I still remember my daughter. She was standing in front of my art piece exhibiting there, and the twinkle in her eyes, like she was so proud. It still makes me emotional, going back to that very sweet memory. And that is the only reason I make art. I make art because I have stories to share. I make art to make my daughter proud. And both happened when I was standing there in front of my art, holding my daughter's hand at Saatchi. So you ask me how it shapes me. It does. It's immense. It feels like an immense blessing. I can't tell you how much it does positively shape you as an artist, as a human being, because you feel blessed, you feel more focused, you feel more energy to do more. And then meeting incredible people like you yourself. You do curate amazing shows, right? And I have met incredible people through my Twitter where they put my art to New York billboards, to we exhibited in front of the National Gallery of Modern Art, Rome. Probably you already know. And I had few solo shows in Montreal, in London, in Lisbon, and Craiova. So all these couldn't be possible without the power of my family here on Twitter, in NFT space, in Web3. So it's a blessing, and I'm very humbled and I'm very thankful to my curators to boost my spirit to do more with my art.
I'm really curious, how old is your daughter?
Oh, she's a big girl. So she was 10 when my Sachi Gallery exhibition was happening. She's 13 now. She's a big girl.
Love this. Absolutely so cute. I wanted to ask you if you have any tips for artists that may not have access to traditional art education. How can they proceed? Because I know that this was kind of your case, that you were self-taught and you were just driven by your own motivation and you were like really inspired. I feel like you are just an amazing person, like extremely kind. So I've, I'm just curious if you can share some tips for other artists that may not have time or resources to just get a normal academia education.
I feel like to be able to keep making art, first of all, you just need to believe in yourself more, believe in the process, and to be your own best friend first, because there will be people laughing probably at your dream. There will be people maybe questioning, because sometimes it's not easy to be an artist and it's never easy out there to sell your art. So, for any artist out there listening to me, like I have at least some experience by now, and I feel like it's very important to celebrate every little win, however small or big. Please take your time to say to yourself, "Thank you." Thank you for being with me. So be your own best friend and say thank you for believing in your dreams. So that's very important. I do that. So I find it very empowering when you don't need outside validation for your big dreams because you believe in yourself first. And another point is, please never underestimate the all those little pauses or in between times. Like as artists, we feel like many of us probably we feel like, oh, we need to make art all the time. We need to be active all the time. We need to be doing something all the time. The point is, as creatives, as artists, when you are not actively making that art, you are still subconsciously very aware of your creative self. Maybe you're looking, maybe you're gathering, maybe you're exploring, and maybe you are giving birth to new ideas without knowing it consciously. So enjoy that journey unapologetically. Um, Give yourself time and enjoy the in between times. That's a bliss. And then yeah, don't and actually I'm also telling to myself as well, it's like a reminder for myself as well, sitting with your own vision, sometimes reminding yourself about your why, about your purpose and your aims, goals. Take all the time needed to pause and to reflect, to finally see beneath the layers of your own dreams. It's very, very important. And please do that. And selling art is never easy. I know that. I do make a lot of art, but it's not like I'm always selling. But keep evolving, keep having that patience to research, like how to put your art out there rather than attracting audience to your art. Make more and more and more art so that your art will be loud enough to scream for you. So keep making with the dedication, with the purpose, and online presence, maintaining an online presence, because this modern world is very fast moving. You need a solid online presence, um, and curate your online activities. Don't rush towards an end goal. Don't chase people or don't chase dreams, rather than take your time to set specific plans, prioritize some plans, deprioritize some other ones which are not working, and embrace the whole process. And that will be my suggestion to anyone out there who is wondering how this magic world works.
That's beautiful. Even while celebrating, um, I struggle to do this myself, and my friend she suggested that I make a list of my achievements, and this is what I'm doing actually. Like I write my achievements because otherwise I forget. And then she's a really nice friend. She's really supportive. I achieved something, and she invited me over to a fancy dinner that we could kind of celebrate my achievement. And I also decided that I will be writing a gratitude journal every night, but not what I'm grateful for in general, but rather what I'm grateful to myself for every day. And I feel like it's getting me somewhere.
That's a beautiful, and do you know, Ola, it's very powerful thing to do. Like, take a step back. Don't always rush for the next chapter. Enjoy and celebrate the last chapters. What did you do last year? What did you do last month? And the competition, that word is so unhealthy, because I feel like if you have that word in your brain, it will just tire you out. It will just drain you out. So if there is any competition at all, it should be you versus you. Right now, I am standing here at 2025. I'm looking back at 2020. How far did I come? What were the mistakes? And I really thank myself for all the little achievements I did, right? So looking back and taking notes for the achievements is a big and powerful way to celebrate yourself, and you're doing the right thing.
For sure. Thank you so much. And so the final question would be, what are you working on right now?
Oh, wow. That's a big question, because I'm always working. I'm reading a lot, I'm writing, and also I'm making art. Sometimes I don't force it if it's not coming. Maybe I'm looking at others' art. Maybe I'm joining art talks where it's always inspiring to listen to. So what's my next? There is always that, waking up every day knowing I will be doing something towards my art journey. That's a blessing. And that's something worth waking up for. But in practical world, yes, I do have some group shows coming up, and I'll be exhibiting in Romania with Art Beast Gallery. I will be exhibiting in the UK in few group shows. Just today, I got an email that I'll be exhibiting in Scotland. That will be my first time exhibiting there. So, yeah, that's something I'm always aiming for, like to put my art out there more and more, and then learning new tools, learning new techniques to keep things interesting. Because I feel like as an artist, we are forever unfolding ourselves. You know, there is no stop button. We keep evolving, we keep changing. Change is a good thing because otherwise life is boring. So, embracing all the changes, making myself ready for the next morning every day, and taking everything in. It's not like life is always rainbows and fireflies. There are struggles, there are hiccups, but how do you stand tall against the storm? That's the lesson to be learned for the future, and that's what I always try. So that's my next. I'll be always making art, I'll be always dreaming big, and I'll be always standing here with my art, with my dreams. Thank you, Ola. Thank you for the question.
Wow, thank you so much. Wow, thank you so much for joining me today. I feel like you have such an amazing personality, such beautiful thoughts, and I just really appreciate you took your time to join me today.
And thank you for these shows, these talks, these discussions. And I thank all my friends who will be listening to the discussion later on and probably will find something inspiring somewhere. And that will be fantastic. And hope to speak soon again, Ola. And yeah, let's keep dreaming more. Thank you for